Hi, I'm Sylvia Worsham. Welcome to Focus Fridays and welcome to the segment on self-love, the key to tapping into your infinite potential. We are all born with genius, all of us. Except once we start living our lives, once we start having significant emotional events, trauma, memories, those experiences create limiting beliefs within us that is found very deep in our core, into our unconscious mind. And those beliefs will give us the results, will be the drivers of the results in the life that we have. And self-love is something that most people struggle with. I know for years in my household, it wasn't something that was taught to us, to love yourself. It was actually seen as taboo almost. It was like mumbo jumbo, like what is that about? The one thing that most people forget is when you tap into God's abundance and God's potential and the mind of God, you love yourself first. You love yourself first. How can you expect someone to love you and to respect you if you don't with yourself? Now, let's talk about how we can love ourselves, say in our health, in our career, in our relationships, and in our mindset, because these are the 4 pillars of life. So let's start off with health. How can you love yourself in health? You can exercise. You can take care of the beautiful body you were given. Instead of feeding it junk food, you eat fresh, whole food that gives you the nutrition that your body needs. So that's one way in health. Let's talk about career. How do you love yourself in your career? You can say no to win-lose propositions that people will come at you and provide to you. You can, however, create win-win. So let's say someone comes up to you, let's say a customer, a regular customer, or perhaps, even a friend comes up to you and they're always expecting freebies. You know who they are. I've had several people that have come to me for advice and they really don't want to pay for the advice. Well, they win in that scenario and you're losing. So that's a win-lose. So how can we create a win-win? One way of doing it is say, yeah, sure, I will help you. But I also have to run a business here, and for me to be available and to give more services to you, I can do it at this price. You want to pick my brain? Sure, I'll charge you for picking my brain because I've got a lot of genius inside of me and we can talk. That's one way of creating a win-win situation for you in your career. Let's say in your love relationships, how can you love yourself? You do it by setting boundaries. You can do that by setting boundaries and saying, if in your love relationship, if when you're speaking to your spouse or your spouse is speaking to you and they're talking to you in a tone of voice that isn't respectful or loving, you could easily set up the boundary of saying, you know what, right now we're too emotional and we're going to disrespect each other. Why don't we wait till we've calmed down and then we will talk? And that's another way of loving yourself, because you value yourself and you love yourself first. And whoever graciously loves you next, like your spouse, that's just the cherry on top. But your validation, your love is being fulfilled by you. Why is love so important? Because God is love. He is love. And to tap into that infinite potential and making that relationship and that connection means that you've understood that to tap into God's mind, you must also love yourself and you must believe in yourself. There is zero way you're going to soar in this world if your belief about yourself is anything but love. Because you will start to attract those things into your life. Whatever is at your core, your belief systems, if you don't believe yourself to be capable, you will attract that into your life. However, if your belief shifts to, I am very capable, I am enough, instead of always viewing what you don't have or it's not enough, or viewing getting your love and your validation outside of yourself, that's where you lose. And those are the lessons. It's been probably probably the hardest one for me to learn during COVID-19. And just this morning, it just kind of clicked in my mind. Another way, say in mindset, is to rebound from situations that have the tendency of pulling us under. There's been many of times in my business as an entrepreneur where I've gotten really excited about an opportunity only to be told it's not the right time, you're not the right candidate. And that has a potential, that resistance has a potential of pulling you under. When you love yourself and you love your value, you understand that there is a very, very powerful reason why that is happening in your life at that moment. So there's various ways of loving yourself in your health. There's various ways of loving yourself in your career. There's various ways of loving yourself in your relationships. And there's various ways to love yourself in your mindset. And I hope this video has given you some ideas as to where to start, focusing on loving yourself first. That way you are tapping into your higher self and tapping into the mind of God, because God is love. I'm Sylvia Worsham. I'm your host of Focus Fridays. Thank you so much for tuning into this week's segment on self-love, the key to tapping into your infinite potential. Have a wonderful week. I will see you next week. Stay safe. Bye now.